Good morning. We are working on lesson 1.5 scatter plots. This is actually part 2. We have talked about scatter plots, what they mean. It's a graph that shows two groups of data, and you plot the points as ordered pairs. We've also talked about correlation and relationships, and we made a scatter plot and looked at the trend and talked about a trend line. So now we're going to do some critical thinking about scatter plots. First, we can do real quick, we're looking at page 35 here on scatter plots. Number 3, it says describe the trend in each scatter plot below, and then number 4, and then number 5. And over here, I'm going to write real quick, this is from page 35. And real quick, you can do numbers 3, 4, and 5. I'll give you a second for those. Describe the trend in each scatter plot below. Do 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 do. Do 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 boom boom. That should be all that you need to describe the trend in each scatter plot below. So if you look at number 3, you can see that this trend is going in a downward fashion, and we would say that this is a negative trend. Did you get that correct? I'm sure you did. Next one, number 4, you can see if I would draw a trend line kind of going through the middle of the data, having about the same number of points above and below, you can see that this is a positive trend going in a positive direction. And last but not least, there's no way for me to draw a trend line. Those are just scattered all over, and we would say that this is no trend. Not a trend available. All right, so those were quick, kind of getting us back into the swing of things. So now let's look at this critical thinking. Excuse me. Would you expect a positive correlation, a negative correlation, or no correlation between the two sets of data, and explain why? So we're looking at number 6. Number 6 says the amount of free time you have and the number of classes you take. So the amount of free time you have and the number of classes you take. Now, when I'm trying to critically think about these, I do best on, just taking the data and kind of making myself like a little scatter plot. I don't have any specific information, but I can just assume a general type of thing. So I'm going to draw myself, and again, I'm only going to use quadrant 1 because most of the data that you're going to deal with is positive. The amount of free time comes first, so that's your X. So that's going to go on your X-axis. And the number of your classes you take is on your Y-axis. So number of classes. So now you kind of just think to yourself, this is a 0. And so let's start up here. You have 0 amounts of free time. If you don't have any free time, how many classes do you think you're taking? If you don't have any free time, you're probably taking quite a few classes. So I'm going to kind of put a dot there. Well, what if you have like 1 to 2 hours of free time somewhere in here? Do you think you're taking as many classes? Probably not. You've got some time on your hands. What if you've got 5, 6, 7 hours of free time? Do you think you have as many classes? Probably not. And of course, we're just doing a general assumption. We're not talking about outliers here. We're just talking about what is the typical type of thing you would see. And as you can see, I have a negative trend going on. So they ask, would you expect a negative, a positive, or no correlation? So I would expect a negative trend or negative correlation, means the same thing. And then it says explain why. And I would say something about, you can go a couple different ways with this, but you would say the more classes I take, the less free time I have. Or maybe I might say the more free time I have, the less classes I take. So you could flip-flop that and have the same thing. All right, let's think about number 7. It says the sale of snow shovels and the amount of snowfall. So snow shovels is my X because that comes first. And the amount of snowfall is my Y because that comes next. So I'm going to draw myself a little thing. It says snow shovels, that's my X. And amount of snowfall is my y. And again, I'm just doing a general, so I don't need to have numbers on it. I know this is 0. So if I am not selling any snow shovels, how much snowfall do you think I have? Probably not very much. If I'm not selling any snow shovels, maybe it's the dead of summer, middle of July. So no snowfall. What if I sell, 10, 20 snow shovels? Probably we're getting a little bit of snow. What if I'm selling hundreds of snow shovels? Probably we have lots of snow. So as I can see I'm developing a positive trend. And I could say something about the more snow shovels I sell, the more snow there is. And again, this is a general assumption. We don't talk about outliers, those kinds of things. Here we go. Number 8. It says the air pollution levels for a city, that's our X, and the number of cars registered in that city, that's my Y. So we have air pollution, let me just abbreviate, and then number of cars. All right, so here's 0. I don't have very much air pollution. If there's not very much air pollution in a city, there's probably not a ton of cars because we know air pollution, cars contribute to air pollution. What if I have a little bit of air pollution? I probably have some cars. If I have a lot of air pollution, I have a lot of cars. So again, what kind of trend we have going on? There's a positive trend. And I could say something about the more cars in a city, the more air pollution you'll have. Okay, last but not least, I think you're starting to get the idea. Number 9. It says the length of a baby at birth. So that's going to be our X, the length of a baby at birth, and the month the baby was born. Okay, so again, I just do quadrant 1 because this is all positive. There's no negative numbers here. So length of baby at birth, length of baby, and then the month they were born. Okay, so, all right, usually baby starts with some kind of length. They don't just pop out and magically grow 19 inches. So they grow with some kind of length. So say we've got here, this baby was about 19 inches, so kind of down from 0 a little bit, and they were born in January, so we'll put January here. This baby was 20 inches, and they were born in July. This baby was born in, this baby was 19 and a half inches, and they were born in December. This baby was a really long baby, 21 inches. That was my kids, I think. And they were born in November. And then there was another baby who was a little premature. They were born with like only 16 inches length. They were a tiny little pumpkin when they were born. And then they were born in March. Okay. Are you seeing a trend? Is there any relationship between the length of the baby and the month they were born? Probably not. So we would say no trend. You cannot compare. Cannot compare. That sounds a little bit better. A baby's birth month with their length. Okay, so more critical thinking about trends, looking at 2 sets of data. I highly recommend that you draw these graphs like we did here so that you can kind of get an idea. And again, we don't talk about outliers. It's just kind of a general population of what would happen. You make sure you always do a positive trend and then explain what's going on. You'll see some of these on your quiz, so make sure you know how to do them. All right, have a great one.